So today we have a very simple question with not such a simple answer. Should you own a black suit? Black is by far the most popular suit colour. If you look at search engine results, if you look at retail sales, black suits are by far the most popular colour to have in your wardrobe, certainly by retail standards. Yet surprisingly, certainly to some, it's not really considered a classic business suit colour, it's not considered a classic suits colour. Certainly in my life as a personal stylist, when I'm helping people put together a wardrobe for conservative London business, which is a big chunk of my work, we don't recommend black suits. We recommend charcoal, navy, blue and grey as the foundation of your wardrobe. And black, I see it as a style colour. Now, because of that, you'll see some style guides, some books be quite anti-black suit and a bit sniffy about them, a little bit snobby about them. Part of that is that the black suit has some quite negative associations. It's often used as a uniform for retail staff. Certainly if you're temping in a department store in the West End, you'll often be told wear a black suit and a white shirt because it's always considered smart. You often see it in catering, you often see it in hotel staff. You often see chauffeurs wearing them. So the black suit has a slightly subservient feel to it. Sometimes associated with perhaps a first job, or you've left school, you've left university, you want your interview suit, you think, I'll get a black suit because it's neutral and it goes with everything. Another key issue with the black suit, and this is something I found out when I asked from friends and family, doing some research for today, is that it's very much associated with funerals. Funerals and memorial services, people often wear their black suit, a white shirt and a black tie. So people would often avoid wearing a black suit outside of that circumstance because it's seen as being funereal and quite sombre. But surprisingly for some, I'm not against black suit. I think the black suit has its place. And today I'm going to talk you through some of the things you should consider and some of the things you might find interesting if you want to explore wearing black in your business or tailored wardrobe. So I always believe if you want a black suit and you want one in your wardrobe, you really need to lean into the style element of it and make sure it is a good black suit. Black doesn't work so well in cheaper fabrics. If you're on a budget and you're looking to build a suit wardrobe, grey is a better colour, especially melange grey is a far more forgiving colour on the cheaper end than black because the black doesn't look as rich. Black is actually quite a difficult colour to dye. For it to be done properly, it needs to be a good quality. So cheap black suits look particularly cheap. Looking at this suit here, for example, it's quite flat. So you need to make sure the tailoring is on point. There's nothing to distract you. So I always feel if you're wearing black, and it can be another reason why people are against black, is because of the way it can be quite draining. If you're pale coloured, it can make you look paler, it's not very flattering. If you want to wear a black suit, make sure you have a really good, fresh white shirt next to the skin, and make sure you've got a nice amount of collar here, and you're always showing cuff. So it breaks it up, so it's not against the skin. Make sure it has a nice shape to it and it fits you really well. A poor fitting black suit, to my eye, looks worse than a poor fitting grey or blue suit. It just needs to be, you need to look like you're considered and you know what you're doing. Introducing black into your casual wardrobe, I think it's a little bit easier. Certainly, although I don't own any black suits, not yet anyway, I do own black roll necks, I like a black overcoat, but I've never actually owned a black sports jacket as yet. I do find actually personally with my customers that if they do want a black suit, we end up often going for a seasonal suit, perhaps a black linen or a black corduroy. Now this is a black linen blend, and again, I will say it's a fashion colour, but it's quite striking. I love the texture of it, and love it or hate it, I think you'd agree this doesn't give off retail temp vibes. And this is a beautiful example of a black sports jacket. Again, never something I recommend for people, but if they like the idea of having some black because it's quite a cool feel to it, this is something I'd recommend because it just looks considered, and I think that's what you need to look if you're wearing black, is you need to know the significance of black and wear it with attitude. Black isn't as, to my eye, isn't as versatile. People often buy a black suit because they believe it will go with everything, and yet it doesn't. I think charcoal grey and dark blue is far more universal for combining with other colours. Black I think is trickier. Of course you have white. Pale blue as a sports jacket I think is okay. Grey looks fantastic, and I love how this grey shantung tie echoes the texture of the jacket, so again it looks quite considered. And again, I actually think if you're wearing black tailoring, you absolutely must have a pocket square just to break up the expanse. An obvious combination to wear with this would either be a black and white check. I think a black and white puppy tooth or a Glen check would look very smart with these. To be more conservative, you could perhaps go for a grey flannel or a grey whipcord. Of course, as it's linen, you're going to want to keep it more summery, and if you're brave enough, you could try a white linen trouser, go for a black and white look. That could be quite cool. And then for shoes, again, you're going to kind of have to stick into just wearing black. I think black loafers, black suede loafers would look very smart for a summer look. Maybe a black Belgian loafer, black tassel loafers. I wouldn't wear the browns and tans with black tailoring. As this is a black suit, of course, you can wear any style of black shoe. It could be a black Oxford, a black loafer, a black Chelsea boots. The only other colour I think works well with black is actually a very dark red oxblood with a lot of black antiquing on it. So if you have like a cherry red with black antiquing, that can look very, very stylish with black. In some ways, what you have to be careful of with black trousers is that unless your shoes are really well polished, they can look very grey and very dirty very quickly. It's not as forgiving as, say, blue or grey. You know, if your shoes get a bit dusty, it's very unforgiving. So you need to always look very polished with black suits to look your best. That's why I often recommend the dark burgundies, anything with antiquing. Another option, which you're seeing more and more in the better quality shoemakers, is black suede. Black suede is very elegant. I think black suede loafers, particularly for the spring, look smart. Which brings you on to the sock. I've probably mentioned this on my black tie videos. Is it because black is such a tricky colour, and when you start shopping, you'll notice how many different shades of black there are. Lots. So I often recommend, if you're wearing a black suit, go for very, very dark burgundy red socks, just to break up the colour. Or if they are black socks, make sure they're really good quality, very, very black, so you're not making the colour of the suit look off compared to the sock. Now, if this was a suit somebody wanted to wear in the evening, for evening events which weren't technically black tie, I can see this making sense. It's got a little bit of an evening look about it. So if you wanted a suit to wear to smart restaurants, perhaps to bars, and you thought that black was cool, this would be great. I would always pick a brand which is probably a bit more stylised, a bit more of a fashion brand, something with a bit of edge to it, rather than a traditional English brand. The brands I would like for a black suit, Tom Ford famously wears a black suit, looks fantastic in it, so that's a kind of a good look to go for. You need to be careful when picking a tie with a black suit. A black knitted or a black grenadine is a statement, particularly with a white shirt. But to avoid it from being too stark, you could wear a beautiful white squared off linen pocket square. But this one here, even though it's very subtle and quite tonal, it just breaks up the expanse of black by reflecting light slightly differently. So even though it's not shouting, I think the style and colour of this pocket square looks very considered. Dressing down black tailoring isn't as simple as blues and greys. It doesn't really fall into the smart casual as easily as, say, charcoal or blue, but you can dress it down, but it's almost like you need to dress it down quite extreme for it to have the impact. Again, you need to be quite confident and have a look. For that reason, I always say avoid black for business casual. If you work in a business casual environment, black doesn't really work into there as well as the blues and greys. So to kick off, quite an extreme look here, which I know some of you will love, a lot of you will hate. Simple white cotton tee and a white pocket square. I think this is a really confident, if you're going to an informal wedding in the high summer, this is a very sharp look to carry off. I wouldn't wear socks, or certainly wouldn't wear showing socks with it, and I'd wear perhaps some black velvet Albert slippers, maybe some black suede Belgian loafers, just keeping it really sharp, really sleek. A black leather watch, a band, some black sunglasses, and this would be a very cool late afternoon look, quite stylised. This, again, quite controversial, how to dress down a black linen jacket. I love the combination of grey cashmere and black linen. Again, it's an unusual combination, but I can see this as a fantastic transitional look. I know we will struggle with transitional looks, but the idea of the black linen with the grey cashmere just looks beautiful, very affluent, very considered, very knowing. Now for trousers for this, I would actually go for black linen, but in a really smooth, slightly polished black Irish linen with some black calf leather loafers. I think that's would be a really smart casual look. I think the key takeaway about black tailoring is you need to really lean into the style and not just get a basic conservative 2-button black suit, and really pick fabrics, textures, styles, cuts that elevate it from the everyday. As always, I'd really be interested to hear your comments on the subject of black suits, and don't forget to subscribe.